cut this music in minutes so I can do my Dharma talk. Welcome. Monday morning after Christmas. I hope you had a good weekend. I hope it was enjoyable. Everything you wanted, everything you needed it to be. There was a woman in here last week and she was telling me Merry Christmas. She was like, I won't see you for a week. She said that I'm not going anywhere. And she was so excited because she was staying at home all by herself. And I've had a few holidays like that in the past, and it actually can be enjoyable if you embrace it to be that way. There's nothing better than having some solitude, just to have some downtime and to be able to reconnect with yourself. So even if you spend it alone, try to embrace that because it can be a lovely, lovely experience. I wanted to share, and I do this usually around every holiday season. I talk about how the yogis often say the greatest gift that we can give ourselves or others is to just be present. And I know we call gifts presents, but we're talking about presence, the P-R-E-S-E-N-C-E, presence. When you're fully in the presence of yourself, fully in the presence of the Creator, fully in the presence of the people that you love, that can be the greatest gift that we give them. To be totally there in that experience and in that interaction. I love this app that we have here, but sometimes I feel like I'm having to apologize for having the phone in my hand, right? But the Bluetooth runs the music, so I need to pick up my phone and to check you guys in. We don't have a computer system, so I'm using my phone. And I can't stand that because for years I've been very aware that when people do that in my presence, I'm like, are you here with me? Are you listening to me? What's so important that you're having to pick up your phone and look at it right now? Really? I remember taking our family out to eat one evening. It was at Uncle Julio's in Brentwood. And there was a business thing that came through. And so I finished answering the question. And literally the next thing I know, I look up and all three of them had their phones out. I'm like, no, we're not going to be that family. Put the phones away. But even Thich Nhat Hanh, he has a famous quote saying the same thing. And Thich Nhat Hanh says, if you love someone, the greatest gift you can give them is your presence. And so hopefully you were able to do that if you were around your friends and family. And if you weren't and you were a little checked out for whatever reason, then just know this is a really important thing to try to practice. It's something called mindfulness. And yoga and meditation really help to cultivate a state of mindfulness. And when you're working through these postures today, you really want to be present and grounded in your body so that you're practicing with safety and compassion. And do not ever feel like you have to push. That is not a part of yogic philosophy, even though you hear that in a certain style at least. Real yogic philosophy is to have action with compassion. So don't force or fight your body to contort or to do something that's maybe not ready for it. And the last thing I want to mention before we get rolling is the idea of the 5 love languages. There's a book that's actually out called The 5 Love Languages. If you've never read or heard about it, I highly, highly suggest it. It's a super easy read. It's actually a fun read. And it gives you this little assessment in the back of the book. And you could probably find an assessment online, I'm assuming. But basically what it does, it talks about different individuals and different people's personalities and how they have different expressions of love languages. And there's 5 different categories. One of those is gifts. Another one is acts of service. Another one is quality time. Another one is physical touch. And the last one is words of affirmation. And so when I got this book several years ago, I could easily peg what my parents were. I'm like, oh, Dad's a gift giver. Like, that's how he shows his love, is through gifts. My mom, acts of service. You walk into her house, she's trying to feed you from the moment you arrive to the moment you leave, and she's trying to give you things out the door. She comes to your house, she wants to mop the floor for you or take over the laundry, acts of service. Mine is physical touch. So if I love you and you're in my presence, I want to hug you, I want to hold your hand, like I'm just really touchy-feely. And now my son's a teenager, he's like flinching a little bit, and I'm like, okay, but we're in the car. I'm gonna touch you in the car. Nobody's looking, but that's my love language. But what's another great thing about this book is you not only peg what you are, and you can see what your loved ones are, but the book has a really good way of saying, just because, say, physical touch is my love language, it's not necessarily my child's love language. So because it's not, he may or may not be receiving that as the symbol of love. What he's going to receive as the symbol of love is his love language. And I figured out what his is. Words of affirmation. He's total words of affirmation. Me and his dad split when he was 2, but I see him saying the same things to his dad that he says to me. Like he says he loves us like 20 million times a day. And it's always like words of encouragement. If I'm feeling a little down or if I get triggered, I'm stressed. He's giving me words to calm me down, and he's giving me words to make my day brighter and to make me feel better. So I don't know. I just felt like we needed to talk about that today, the gift of being present, but also realizing that someone's love language may be different than ours. And if you really want them to receive that token of love, figure out what their language is and then give them that. All right, so
What is Rob's?
Rob's is, well, he did it with me sitting next to him. And I could tell he was too much in his head instead of just answering right away. And his said acts of service and physical touch. He's definitely acts of service. He wants to be physical touch because that's mine, but it's not his. It's really not. And that's okay.
Yeah.
But sometimes I have to say, don't touch me. All right, so we're gonna roll down to our backs. Separate your feet and flex through your ankles. Lengthen out to the back side of your legs. And then descend your heels and let the toes soften. Let your knees soften. Place your hands on the stomach region and fan the fingers so they're spreading out between the upper and lower half of the belly. Let your elbows fan out and descend to the ground. Release your neck and allow the weight of the head to drop to the mat. Allow the eyelids to softly close. For this first moment, I just want you to connect physically to your body. So we elongated the legs in an active way at first to help to bring some space to the low back. Then we allow the feet and the legs to relax so that the feet can roll away from the midline. Feel all the points in the backside of the body that are touching down. And feel supported by the earth. Do a little inner investigation and notice whether or not any areas inside are crying out for some attention. For instance, if you have any pockets of soreness, tightness, maybe some physical aches or pains, your body's clear, celebrate that. But if you notice certain areas that are needing more nurturing, these are the areas you want to pay particular attention to as we explore our movement today. Notice your headspace. Your mind feels cluttered and full. Whether or not your thoughts seem hyperactive or calmer. Part of the reason we're here is to calm and open our minds. And we can do that through the power of the breath. So go ahead and begin to take the reins of your breath, bringing it under your command, increasing your intake of oxygen into your lungs, but also freely allowing that air to escape. And once you start to improve the state of your breath, notice the movement beneath your hands. You're breathing in a deep diaphragmatic way. You'll find the belly expands on the inhale. Falls away on the exhale. Breathe down deep into your belly. Equally breathe up and into your heart. The heart that wants to express our love language. And when we have the mind and the body more fully connected, when we drop down into our heart space and operate from this space, then we can be more mindful and we can be more present. More present in the now, more present with ourselves, more present with others, and more present with the task at hand. We're going to begin some mindful movement now. So inhale, draw the feet back so they're lodging up underneath your knees. Bring your hands now beside your body, maybe alongside your hips. We're going to start with a bridge flow. So ground the feet, tuck the tailbone, circle the arms overhead as you elevate your thighs, hips, abdomen, chest. And then as you exhale, bring the arms back around as you lower one vertebra at a time. We're going to continue this flow of movement. So inhale, give yourself a boost, rising up towards the ceiling above. And then exhale, coasting back down to the low back into the palms. Synchronize this movement with your breath. Do one more of these. Inhale, circling the arms overhead. Now, as you exhale, come on back down. Now, this time when we lift back to bridge, we're going to keep the arms stacked beside us. So on your inhalation, root down through the soles of the feet, especially for the mount of the big toes as you lift up. Now, the more you power down through the soles of the feet, you're going to find that engages and strengthens your hamstrings. It engages and it strengthens your glute muscles in the buttocks. Now notice the hips can only get so high here if we're not utilizing the arms. So I want you to power down through the outer frame of your shoulders. You can even slightly tuck them under your body. And notice how when you tuck the shoulders and push down through the upper arm bones, you'll get more elevation in your chest. Maybe even a higher lift through your pelvis. Now focus on your breath. Letting the belly rise on the inhale and deflate on the exhale. And then plugging this affirmation in, repeating it silently to yourself. I offer every thought as a bridge to divine grace. Part of that divine grace is the gift of presence. Now, if you scoot your hands closer together under your body, you might be able to lace them up and to push down through the outer piece. Again, keeping your thighs and knees narrow, firing up the backside of your body. Notice how this is also strengthening the back. This is good for the spleen. This is good for the thyroid gland. All right, separate your hands, broaden your shoulders, and gently roll it down one vertebra at a time. Once you land, cross your left ankle over the right knee. Test the waters here because some days this is enough. If you want to go into a deeper stretch, however, pick up your right foot. Lace your hands together behind your right thigh bone. And you're gently hugging that right leg towards your upper body. And you still want to anchor the sacrum to the floor. That way the buttocks isn't curling up or straining the low back. We're being active, so we're bringing that dorsiflexion into the ankles. Just pay attention to notice what you're holding here on this left side. The hips tie back in with our relationships, as well as our relationship with money. Take some deep breaths. Give yourself the gift of being present by holding in and controlling your breath. Paying attention to the sensation, knowing when you can go deeper, knowing when you need to back away, knowing when to hold the line. Take one more deep breath. Exhale, release your hand hold, just in the right foot, uncross the left ankle, and we'll take that to the other side. Right ankle over the left knee. Dependent on how this feels, maybe going deeper, picking up the left foot, eye of the needle pose. You can hug the left thigh towards you. The flexion in the ankles will bring a little protection to the knees. Because each breath that you take, being the invisible thread that helps to interweave your mind, body, and spirit together as one. Maybe do a little cross comparison without judgment. Is life showing up more here on this side or the other? Are you experiencing more tension? Each and every out breath, visualize or chiseling some of that away. Then on your exhalation, let's go ahead and release. Step the left foot down to the floor and your right foot down to join. We're gonna roll to the right side of the body. We're gonna push down through the left palm and we're gonna come all the way up. And we're gonna come all the way up to stand. So one thing that we're gonna be exploring in the midst of our flow today are balancing poses, because balancing poses demand our presence and our attention. So look down at your feet. Broaden the base of the feet, splay open through your toes so you can see the coloration of your mat in between. And when you really lodge the feet down into the floor, you're going to feel the muscles engage up through the legs and hips. Now zip up through your midriff, bring your hands to prayer position at your heart. Look straight ahead with your eyes. And then inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Notice when you lift the arms up overhead, if you lost that attention to the lower body. Keep rooting, keep rising. And then exhale, start to swan dive forward and down to Uttanasana, attempting to keep the legs fairly straight. Now, if you really need the knees to bend, that's okay. Usually bending the knees is when the pull is at the knees versus in the sit bone area. Let your upper body drape down. Let this be a little reboot for the mind here. And we'll start to flow more. So inhale, you can prop your hands up to your shins. Create some space between the two halves as you look forward and out. And then exhale, flow right back down. On your next in-breath, we're going to step the right foot back to a lunge. From the lunge, you're going to come to the tips of your fingers. And you're really going to pressurize the front foot. That way you can rise up, floating the arms up alongside your ears to crescent lunge. Every day is different. So if your balance is really off right now, set your eyes on one place in front of you and maybe just stay here. If you feel like flowing with us, then we're going to exhale, hinge over the front thigh. And take the arms back like wings of an airplane. And then we're going to continue. Inhale, drawing it up to crescent. And then exhale, hinging forward to hover. Continue that flow of movement. Inhaling, crescent. And exhale, hinge over. We're going to do one more of those. Inhale, draw it up. Exhale, pour it down. Now take the hands down to frame the front foot, step back, plank position. Shift your shoulders past your wrist, lower down like a low push-up. Inhale, feel free to land your knees, bloom up, and exhale, rock and roll back. When you press back to your downward facing dog, really ground your hands, lengthen back away from your wrist. Sail your seat skyward. Make any adjustments you need, but always return to your breath. That anchors us in the now moment. On your next in-breath, we're going to step the right foot forward and up between the hands. Give yourself assistance if need be. Come to the tips of the fingers. Make the upper body rise. This is also a really great stretch for the psoas. That's what you're feeling on this left hip in front. And it even attaches to the low back. All right, exhale, we're gonna hinge. Splay your arms nice and wide. The arms are the wings of the heart. Inhale, bring it back up. Press. And exhale, hinge and cover. Continue this process. You can choose the flow. Remember, you can always hold just a static pose if that's better today. Last one. Pausing here. Feel the strength in that front leg. Then descend the hands, step the back foot forward, rise up to Ardha Uttanasana, and then exhale, flow down. Arms spilling off the back, head getting heavy, tipping the weight forward towards your toes. On the next inhale, go ahead and sweep the arms to your sides and up. Root and rise simultaneously. Good. Exhale, hinge forward and bow out. Let's continue to flow. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, roll back down towards your thighs. Inhale, this time we're stepping the left foot back. Coming up to crescents. And this time in crescent, maybe seeing if it's possible to do a little back bend shaping. Nothing too extreme. All right, exhale, we're coming forward to hover, like we did earlier, and just two more of those. Inhale, coming up, you can leave the back bend out or you can include it. Your choice. Exhale, fold. One more. All right, staying here with the upper body, but bringing your hands to prayer position at your heart. Turn and plant your back heel down to the floor. Lift your trunk about halfway up, not totally erect. Your arms are going to circle beside your ears. Your fingers will interlace, except the index fingers. This is Jupiter Hand Mudra, and this is called Lightning Lunge. You're pushing back through the left thigh, pressing down through your back heel. Now you're making the back leg stronger. I know this can be tough too. It's like we're trying to defy gravity. Exhale, bring the hands down, spin away from the back heel. Right foot point. Exhale, lower to chaturanga. Inhale, rise to upward facing dog. Exhale, rolling back to downward facing dog. Most importantly, breathe. Breath is your fuel. Befriend your breath. Let it support you. So the next inhale, left foot's going to step forward. When you're ready, you're coming up to crescents. Choosing here to keep the spine vertical or lifting out of your side ribs, your floating ribs, and potentially creating a back bend. All right, exhale, we're going to hinge down. Splay the arms. Couple more like that. Flowing with the breath. This time when we come over the front thigh, we hold. Bring the hands together to prayer. Spin down the back heel. Lift the trunk at least halfway. Arms reach out. Fingers laced together, arms kind of hug the side of the head. Right thigh back, right heel planted down. Breathe. Exhale, release. Spin away from the back heel, step up to the front. Open the heart upon arrival. Exhale, melt the heart down and in. Notice if your heart rate sped up, like controlling the breath, and slow it back down. Next inhale, sweep the arms to your sides and up overhead. Exhale, we're dropping right back in. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, letting go. Inhale, right foot's gonna step back. All right, we're gonna change up the flow a little bit. Inhale, we're coming to crescent. Your choice to be here or back bend. Exhale, fan the arms, hover. Bring the hands to prayer, drop the back heel, lift your trunk halfway, lightning lunge. Now from lightning lunge, we're gonna give ourselves a boost forward to a variation of warrior three. So that's a balancing pose. We're taking the weight off the back foot, stacking and standing on the front leg, tipping over to become more parallel to the floor. Bend the front knee just a little, drop the back foot down, lower the arms, and back up. Good, now see how that back foot's really turned in? We don't want it to be for the next sequence. So you're gonna turn your back foot. There you go, and notice when you turn the foot, didn't you feel the thigh open, hip open? That's what we want. Now look at your left foot, make sure it didn't swerve. You want the left toes facing the top of the mat. All right, changing it up, arms float up, shoulder height, lengthen over it. Exhale, windmill down, triangle. All right, we're gonna bring in this flow. So inhale, we're coming up. Left arm reaching skyward. This is like old school version triangle. And we're moving into modern day triangle. All right, inhale. And exhale. So that lightning lunge, hopefully you can see, was a good prerequisite pose to take us in that warrior three balancing position. Inhale, draw it up. Exhale, triangle. Now, triangle pose is a good prerequisite for half moon. So, to take half moon, we're gonna drop the right arm towards the right hip. We're gonna circle it down and we're gonna gaze down. We're gonna lunge the left knee and the left hand can be stationed on the block or the floor, but it's to the outside of the pinky toe so that you can balance. One variation is just to stack on the block and extend the right limbs. Another variation is to lift the right arm skyward and to spin your heart and gaze to the right as well. Either or. Good, exhale safely. Bring the hands down and frame the left foot. Your right leg's way back behind, left foot point. Exhale, drop the knees, and we're gonna take child's pose. So we really amped it up from the previous flows to add in the balancing poses. The balancing poses demand our focus and attention. And if we're really grounded in the body and really anchored in the now, we can practice in a more mindful way. We can give ourselves the gift of truly being present in our minds and bodies. Now I want you to find how you can do that here as well, in a state of stillness and quietude. Reconnect. A whole second side to explore. Remember, have a serious nature, so you are being mindful, but also have a playful attitude and have fun with it. Inhale, lift the face up. Slide your arms forward and out. Rock up to hands and knees. Curl the toes, come to plank. Front plank, rock forward, lower down to chaturanga. Inhale, lifting to upward facing dog. Exhale, rolling back to downward facing dog. On your next inhale, let's walk that right foot forward and that between the hands. We'll slowly bring ourselves to crescent first. And then your choice to be stable here or to lift and arch back. Yogi's choice. Exhale, we'll hinge. Notice if that right hip wants to wing out. If it does, flip it in. Hands to prayer. Ground the back foot. Lift the heart higher. Arms circle out. Lace to Jupiter Mudra, lightning lunge. When you're ready, launch forward and up to warrior three. I've also heard this called walking stick. Bend the front knee, lower the back foot, round the heel, drop the arms, slowly straighten the front leg and build up. And then we need to alter the back foot. So only spin your back foot. Right toes stay the same. Good, arms lift. Lengthen over. Windmill down, triangle. And then we'll float here. Inhale to the old school version. Exhale, modern triangle. Two more. Feel free to go at your own pace according to your own breath. We want to transition to half moon. We're gonna lower, circle that left arm around and down towards the right foot. We lunge the right knee. We take the hand to the floor or block to the outside and beyond the pinky toe. Feel free to extend the left limbs and just gaze down for better balance. To challenge your balance, roll open to your left. Right, softly bend the right knee. Step the left foot down, hands down. We're stepping right back to plank, sinking the knees, and taking a momentary child's pose. And then hold your breath. Maybe practicing some mindfulness. If any areas we're speaking up earlier, maybe the areas that were a little cranky, check in with them now. Have you aggravated it or made it better? Were you practicing compassion in action? Be present enough to do what was the safest and best for you today. Slide your hands back. Slowly come up to take a seat. Now, if it's challenging to sit on your heels, you can come forward and grab a block, put it in between your ankles, and sit on it that way. And some people need 2 blocks, and that's all right. But we're going to sit up a moment, have your hands. So, there's a bunch of women in here. So, generally speaking, the left hand over the right with the thumbs touching. There were men in the room, I would tell them to swap it. Left side's feminine side, right side's masculine. So we'll sit up nice and tall, close the eyes. We'll bring in the affirmation for the sun salutation. Salutations to the sun, to the awakening light within